going on, everybody? It's your boy, the Scream Fanatic. So I did another video like this a couple days ago. I was at Watkins Glen, and I don't know, it's kind of life. So thought I'd do another one. Today we are at the whatchamacallit. God, I can't remember the track. It's slipping me. But we are no longer at Watkins Glen. We are at a completely different track now, and I believe, as soon as I take a look-see here, Deep Forest Raceway. Reverse. That's what it's called. So what you probably see two ghosts here as I'm in practice, qualifying, whatever you want to call it, setting my starting time. What I do is I go onto the leaderboard for the global ranking, and I grab typically one of the top drivers, give me something to reference, and then of course there's my own ghost after that. So it's something. It gives me a couple of things to beat. I'd never really run a race here against other people. Of course I did during the menu books and all that. But so I the entire day I was getting my ass absolutely handed to me. Wasn't really working out. So I learned that this is the car to use. I was using a different car and it was a bad idea. But ooh, I overshot that like a motherfucker. Oh, I think it's because I was like, alright, I'll just wait for the race to start in like 13 seconds, and that's what I'm gonna do. So we qualify on pole, not by much. It's not even by a tenth. Enzo G Racer. He was a bit aggressive, bit of a Bubba Wallace fan, as you can see from his McDonald's 23 car. And I just give a little, hey, let's have a good race. Yeah. Once again, this is post commentary. Just throwing that out there. But there were guys that were in Vipers that just absolutely were not going for braking zones. They were just sending it. Thankfully, Chris, down in 8th, he was not one of those people. I had raced with him a couple of times that day, and this was, I believe, the first time I had pole position, but I had started started back in 2nd. I'd started in 3rd, 6th. I started in 10th at one point, but this was a good race. It was a pretty good one, and we're going to walk through it together. So, as you can see, sitting here, revving up the engines. Where did my microphone sensitivity go? Okay, just all of a sudden dipped out on me. Whatevs. Technical difficulties happen. So we're getting ready to go green here, and this has a pretty long straightaway. You're pretty wide open the whole time, and first gear, it just likes to jump. Somehow people were getting better starts than me. Sometimes I would get better starts than them, but as you can see, Enzo, he coming quick, and I think he actually tries to make a move going into this hairpin up here, but it does not work out. I think either that or it's the next lap. I'm not entirely certain. Oh, he sends it, but I turn in before he can give me the bump. These straightaways, they provide for very, very, very long slipstream sections, and 6/10, he's already bringing that down. He's bringing that down pretty quick. And if you don't get a good run out of that hairpin, you're basically screwed there. But oh, there it is. Sends it in. Passes me very aggressively. I go a bit defensive here on P3 Cap. His name is Cap, just to let you guys know that in case you haven't seen that. But that was a pretty dirty move. I don't know if he was hit by Cap. I don't know if he braked late. I did save the replay for this. I haven't actually gone back and looked, but I probably should. And oh boy, was it a fun one. Chasing him down actually is a bit of a fun time, mainly because, you know, when you start on pole and you just run away, it can get a little boring sometimes. And having a goal is, I don't know, in my opinion, better. Now, for some reason, despite being paired up with a lot of Americans and Canadians, I was switching between a bad and a mediocre connection. I'm not entirely sure why, but that's just how it goes. Now this corner here, going right before the hairpin, people seem to either slow down too much or they don't slow down enough, and then they overshoot the hairpin, as you can see, just like that. He ran wide, I took it, swooped right in and passed him like a good boy. Now I'm trying to break the draft here, because if you don't, then he's just going to be putting pressure on you in the next turn. You want to build as much of a gap between you and that car. That way, when you get to a section where there's less slipstream, if you are better, you can pull away, and your goal is to be out of slipstream range by the time you get back to those straightaways. And he does put on a good bit of pressure here, as you can see. Really tries to send it in there and try to push me wide, but it's things like that that help when you're trying to pull away from somebody. Is if you have a good enough, you know, section away and they're trying to just send it in, they're being aggressive. Surprised that's not an off track. Even in the moment, I was like, oh, that's probably going to be a penalty there. But as you can see, about 6/10 up on him, going into that final little turn there. I used second gear to get the point, and I throttle out in third to get a really nice drive off. But once again, trying to break the toe here. He's 5/10 back, and with my connection, it was being really buggy. So it would seem that I had a, you know, okay gap in that 10th, but then all of a sudden it would jump down to basically nothing. And once again, coming to this hairpin, I try to give it a little bit of power through, but not always. Down to first to get it pointed, second gear to take off, up to 8/10 now, and that should be out of slipstream range. Now I do believe he had a penalty there as well, so that gave me a good enough gap to definitely pull away from slipstream range. About 2 seconds there. And at that point I was basically like, okay, I just got to run qualifying laps. I spent a good bit of the day just running qualifying laps trying to get this track down, and it was time to pay off. So that was all I had to do. Just didn't want to make any crucial mistakes that would ruin the race for me, get any bad penalties. Anything to keep that gap there, I wanted to do it. Otherwise, pressure could get back on. He could be very aggressive and send it into me again. And that's one thing that I'm really, really hoping to get away from the further I progress in the license system, is people that just send it. Absolutely sending it. Every single time I would pull onto these straightaways to complete a lap or to go through the hairpin and you know, basically start the second half of my lap, it was all about I would take the turn and immediately look up to that gap and see if it would jump up or down, if I gained any time or if I lost any time. And that was just trying to maintain that gap. And that's one thing that I wouldn't recommend always doing, because, you know, looking off of the road to check out the time, that could definitely affect, you know, your braking zone. You don't want to miss your braking zone, and I definitely have done that before, especially last week at Watkins Glen. I looked up in my mirror for a split second, looked down, realized I was well past my braking mark, and absolutely lost the race because of it. It was very, very disappointing. I couldn't even get ground made up to try and pass him again. But this race is just smooth sailing. I love these little daily race Bs. They're not too long, they're quick, and you still get that sense of competition from other people. Once I get a little bit better, possibly a little higher in the license groups, I will definitely be moving over to daily race Cs. with pit stops, fuel strategy, tire strategy. Not usually fuel strategy, because a lot of the videos I watch about people racing those, they don't really take fuel. They just change the tires. Sometimes they don't even change tires. It depends on what the regulations are, if you're required to or not. But I have a lot of fun, and I do believe after these 2 races that I have for you today, I was just about an A driver rating, and I did make it to an S sportsman rating, which is a good day in my opinion, to be honest. By the way, if you do like these videos, go ahead and leave a like rating. And if you enjoy content like this, I'm going to be starting to do a lot more of this kind of things. So hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You'll get notified every single time I upload and every single time I go live. And that's good for you because you like that shit, right? Right. All right. Anyways. Once again, I'm not entirely sure what else to say. I'm just building more gap. Not much strategy here other than staying smooth. I currently have the fastest lap. I don't believe I maintain this, but that's okay, honestly. I was having a lot of fun with this car too. I had never raced in this car, and I was surprised to see how much power it had. You could spin those tires very, very easily. And that's not something I'm typically used to in the Nismo GTR. Coming to the final lap here. Gap is now 2.2 seconds. Just about. There it is. And what a run. I mean, honestly, 133.4. Not quite my fastest lap, but for chasing down somebody and then pulling away, it's not a bad lap. It's all about practice. I found that if I spend enough time at a track during the week, eventually I start to get faster and faster. And yep, there goes Atomic Rooster, takes the fastest lap with a 1.4. Oh, okay, I see. I have a 133.5. He gets the fastest lap with a 133.4. My bad. But I'm currently 2/10 up on my fastest lap according to that split counter there. Roll the car through that corner, not quite getting the apex that I wanted. I really want to get, on the rumble strips there. Same with right there, that way you can time that, this quick little left-hander around this little bendy bend over here. One final time. This turn, I really, really like that corner because you basically just kind of a quick tap on the brake, let it roll, and just throttle it out, and you get a good gap. A lot of people, especially in the group that I'm in, they slow down way too much, and it's just, honestly, I find it pretty funny because, whatevs. Anyways, P1 there. I did the little wiggle. Yeah. That's always kind of fun, isn't it? We have fun here. It's a lot of fun. We have fun here. 2.6 seconds was the gap. Isn't that unbelievable? 3.5 to third place. 6 flat, basically, to fourth. That's a good gap. That is a pretty good gap, I would say. I always hated waiting these out. Probably gonna cut this, so I'll see you in a second. Okay, so here we are after the race. We have about, 6 minutes to run some practice laps, and I try my best to beat that 32.8 that I have here, and I think I get pretty darn close with a 32.9 on this lap. I don't know. I can't quite remember. Sometimes it's a bit of a blur. I don't exactly write a script. I'm not entirely sure if post-commentating YouTubers write a script for these kinds of things. I'm just going in balls deep, raw dogging it, you know what I'm saying? A little wide on the hairpin here. Once again, to get the car to point in first gear, then to second gear. And this ghost that I'm following, it is a 130 is the time here. And so I know where I'm weak, and it's typically in this infield section. These, these corners, not these long straightaways. They just know how to roll that corner a lot better than I do. And so this is definitely where I lose a lot of the time. Rolling this corner too is definitely something that can be a challenge, and I always mess it up, but you can definitely use less brake and let the RPMs roll you down right there. Just like in the following corner that I was talking about earlier, that I really do like that much. And then here in this final little corner, I like to run wide, get it pointed, and then once again, like I said, use third gear and power it out. Sometimes, obviously, in the race, you're going to have to go defensive, and you run, a little closer to the line. Okay, a 133.4 there. But I think maybe this was a good lap. I don't know. I'll let another lap go, and then I'll cut again to the start of the next race. And as you can see, getting a lot closer of, getting the apex a little better there, but that straightaway being longer from that previous lap, my ghost definitely starts to pull on me, and I believe I get him back here in this corner, this next corner here, this right-hander. Very, very sharp braking zone and corner here. I'm coming up with terms that I'm not entirely sure I'm using correctly, but I get the exit on the corner there. 1/10 up, almost a tenth and a half. So, yep, there it is, 2/10. And then once again, yeah, right here, just kind of let the RPMs take you down. Let the car roll, and then get back on it. And beating yourself on these time trial laps, that's basically all you're doing there. And I remembered from that last race, okay, I can cut that little corner there and not get a time penalty. But that's basically all that it is when you're, chasing your ghost, or your ghost is, where am I slow? Where can I make improvements? And that's where you want to attack. You want to try to stay as close to your ghost as possible, but then get those corners that you messed up on previously. You want to get them right. So 32.9 there, 986, almost a tenth and a half off, or over a tenth and a half off of my best time, but I don't come close to it again. And I once again will see you in just a second for the start of the race. All right, so here we are for the start of the race. Once again on the pole, but this time by a whole tenth. A little under a tenth, but not by much. Wanted to say hi to Chris again. Good to see him. Not quite sure how he finished in the last race, but Duffy, good to see him too. I don't remember. I probably saw him at one point. I don't really remember, but whatevs. Yes, Holy Mazda 3s. Wanted to check and see if there was anybody that I had had a bad run-in with in the past. Didn't look like it. And yeah, so here we go. Race starts in 7 seconds. I'll probably get better at these post commentaries as I do more of them, but for now, I'm just gonna kind of keep rambling here. Yeah. Anyways, take a look at the starting lineup. Patrioto Jr. on the pole, dope-looking boy rounds out the top two. Anyways, once again, working with a kind of oh shit, where'd my connection go? Holy shit, I didn't notice that before. In the race, I didn't notice that I dropped to what looks like nothing. But there was one thing that was really weird, was I would race a few races, and then I'd take a break, and I'd come back, and I'd have a terrible connection, and then I would check my connection on Gran Turismo, and it would say it would be fantastic, and then the next race I would have a fine connection, and I did a few more races, and I took a break, and then I came back, and I did it again, but I never ran the connection test again. So that's weird. Starting on pole here, it looks like dope-looking boy, he got a very good start over me. I tried starting immediately in second, didn't exactly work. What I was doing was flooring it in first, getting the revs up, and then immediately shifting to second. But starting in second after that just didn't work out. Ran wide here, got the good apex, got a really good drive off, and immediately 6/10 up, 7/10 up. Trying once again to break the draft here. I believe it was possibly around 7 to 8 tenths. I'm not entirely sure, but with bump draft in the first lap, I was pretty sure that it was somewhere around that area and that they were just getting some help from the cars behind. As you can see, they came in really hot there. I got a pretty good exit, continued to maintain about a 7/10 gap, and that was really all there was to it. I could tell that Dope Boy was going to be very aggressive because he was just sending it into these turns. If you look up in the mirror and watch him throughout the laps that we run, especially these first couple of laps when he's pretty close, he's pushing hard, and it was actually making me a little nervous having all that pressure on me because I knew he was going to try to do something a little irrational if I wasn't smart about it. So I parked it down here on the apex, trying to get a good exit off of this to complete the first lap, but he just probably had a lot better of an exit, maintaining the gap and being real close to the rear bumper. So I play a little defensive here, kind of fake him out. Where am I going, baby? Where am I going? Left, right, boom. Kind of slammed the door there. I don't know if he backed out of it or touched the wall, but that was basically all there was to it. And once again, just trying to get a really good roll through that little hairpin. That's one of the biggest make or break moments in the track itself, per lap, every lap. You could fuck up an entire time there. You could lose a lot of time there. And it's very important to make sure that you get it right. Otherwise, you could be losing a couple of positions just like that. As you can see, up to 9/10 just by getting it a lot better than they did. Didn't quite roll that corner there like I wanted to, and the gap comes a little bit back down. But hey, this is what happens sometimes. And as you can see, like I said, I kept forgetting to let the RPMs kind of roll me through that corner, and I just did it again. Throughout this entire race, I just kept forgetting to, and I feel like I was losing a lot of time that I could have pulled away right there if I would have hit the corner properly and let the RPMs do their thing. But that's exactly what the problem is with being a beginner, is there's a lot to learn still. And I feel like for a beginner, I'm doing pretty well. I haven't really run too much Gran Turismo sport mode in my time as a sim racer, but I played around with it back in the GT Sport days, and I got really into it during GT7, especially leading up to GT7 and going back to relive some of the GT Sport days. And then iRacing, of course, is also a big help for that. But, coming back to GT and then just immediately starting to fucking throw around my weight like I can contend. I feel like I am a good contender. I'm going to have some rookie mistakes, of course, but it's definitely good confidence to come in here and do some really good races and run some really good laps and race with some guys that are really, really fast. Like, you run your first couple of races for the daily races per week, and you're learning the track still a little bit. I usually run a little in practice and qualifying mode until I feel like I'm comfortable. But then even so, you're still going to have to learn to run around other people instead of just running by yourself. And it can be a lot of fun. It can be a little stressful, but it can be a very big confidence booster when you get a good win, when you get your first win especially, because you always remember that first win. Completing lap 3 here. Once again, getting a good exit in third gear, and I'm starting to pull away. 1.7 seconds is the gap to P2, completing lap 3, and oh man, just barely faster than my fastest time there. Currently fastest lap of the race as well, with a 1:33.421. And if you mess up that kink coming into this hairpin too, oh boy, you might as well just fucking let him go right then and there, because You're not getting those spots back, I'll tell you that much right now. Finally get a good roll through this corner. Oh, well, okay, maybe not. I lied. I thought maybe I could sound cool if I guessed it right, but I didn't. Almost nearly hitting the wall there, hitting two little marker sticks. Thought surely that was going to be a penalty. Still nothing. I don't know. I was just definitely getting lucky here. There were a lot of times that I looked at it and said, that's definitely a penalty. But then it turned out to not be a penalty. And that's always nice, right? I mean, especially when you go penalty free, you get a good gain on the safety rating, the sportsman rating, and the driver rating. It's always a good feeling. It's a fun time. This game is a really good fun time. I also do think that, you know, if you're new to iRacing and you're not quite getting the curveball for the cars yet, this would probably be a good training wheels for you, you know, learning to control these cars a little bit better. That way you're not going in completely blind when you pick a new car and you know, in iRacing, for example, or in any sim really. You want to find a good sim that has a good balance of arcadey game and actual simulation, and that'll definitely help in learning cars, learning tracks, figuring out, you know, the power and how to, you know, get your car to drive at a quicker and more accelerating rate around these corners, because you could go fast in a straight line all you want, but if you can't make the corner quickly, you're just going to get swallowed up by the pack. And that was definitely a learning curve for 13-year-old me, but, you know, here we are, 24-year-old me, and I want to make sure I make every lap as perfect to what I can do and what I know how to do from just experience and running the laps myself that I possibly can. I want to make sure that I'm fast, and, you know, it starts to show. And now I'm also pretty certain that Gran Turismo has skill-based matchmaking based on your last few finishes. But I mean, you know, that's, like I said, it's a game. It's a lot of games are gonna have that. It's not like iRacing where, you know, you got motherfuckers the same iRating as you, which typically, yes, that is skill-based matchmaking, but I'm not entirely sure how it works. I just know that sometimes it seems like you're getting better because you start to get faster, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're winning races. And here we are on the final lap, one more time down this long straightaway. I'm uncontested, completely unfazed, still have the fastest lap of the race. And it's just it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, especially having the lowest ping or the highest ping in the entire race, and I'm pulling away from everybody. I don't quite remember what the gap was to third place, but 2.4 second gap to second place is pretty comfortable. Even though, you know, you look up on the mini map right there, he's only basically a corner behind me. I mean, I'm pretty sure sometimes he still pops up on the rear view. Like right there, yeah, there he is. But, I mean, as long as you just stay smooth, you could run a little bit slower if you need to. As you can see, he made up like a couple of tenths there just so I could make sure that I didn't play anything stupid. Late braking once again into here, run it wide, cut back to the inside, into third gear, get a good exit, and bringing it home for the second win in a row and of the day. And that's where I basically called it quits, because I was like, alright, that's all I needed. Nah, let's not risk anymore. So 2.3 seconds to P2 and 10 seconds to P4 and 3 and 4. I don't know why I did it in that order, but they were basically in a drag race right there. But I mean, yeah, and that's the fun part about these races, is sometimes you could just be pulling away, and like that can be boring. Like I said during that first race that we were watching, pulling away can be very boring. That was kind of, you know, like, I was running out of things to say, so I just started talking about driving and getting experience, what you should do as a new guy. Yeah. But yeah, looking at this guy, looking at him, yeah, you got that default fucking suit, helmet. But check that out. Pole position, fastest lap, clean race, victory, and boom, that P1. Anyways, got the clean race bonus, which was worth some good bit of monies. And yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of a little cutting here. Yeah, we get a nice old have a good race from dope looking boy, which I'm not entirely sure what he means by that. That was the end of the race, but whatever. Anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I have been the Scream Fanatic, and as you can see, look at that. Boom, a B, DR, and an S, SR. That's fun. Anyways, peace.